Enhanced distress call audio bombshell.
Cito Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
What'd you say? Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
What did we just hear? What was that? One more time, please.
Cito Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
That was the Cito call released by the Mississippi state officials from the boat that 18-year-old Nolan Wells may or may not have been on alongside several of his friends this past 4th of July, which is the day that he reportedly went missing. Hi, my name is Suri Crowe, and you're watching the MeidasTouch Network. The kids on board that boat reportedly never got a tow in, after all, because according to additional recordings on that day, the dispatcher reached out to a Coast Guard captain who said that he had just hung up with the teen's grandfather who owns the boat. Listen to this.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island, and he's saying the boat is sinking.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat. And he said that Jerry. Yeah, he said,
okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back. So I'm guessing that they may have figured it out, because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank.
Yeah, they're in a panic.
Also listen to this part of the call where this creator on TikTok named the TikTok Detective says that she ran the audio through her own software and that the dispatcher asks how many people are on board. Plus there's this part where from her interpretation, it sounds like you can hear somebody asking about, did you check his chest?
To the 911 call again. On the 111 mark, you can hear in the background someone saying, no, wake up, Wyatt, check his chest. So I ran this through my editing program. And listen, I am not a pro at audio by all means, but I did try to enhance the background so we can hear more of what was said. It is not a confirmed transcript, so please take this with a grain of salt.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Hello? Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like, guaranteed.
All right. Unless you have a membership number. How many adults, sir? That was the question. All right. How many people, sir?
Like 7.
All right. Thank you. Does everyone have life jackets on or available to them?
Yes, we have life jackets available.
Did you notice that he said 7 people were on the boat and then they counted and it was just 6?
My impression when I listened to that call, and I've listened to the call in several iterations, including that official released call by Mississippi state officials, is that whichever teen was calling in sounded quite inebriated. That's my impression. I mean, we don't know because, there are no tox tests to tell us, but he sounded drunk. And then to confuse things further, this just in, TMZ reporting a new video of that same alleged boat, but Nolan not on the boat.
In the Nolan Wells case, that seems to support what we were told by sources directly with direct knowledge of the investigation, that after Nolan's friends left on their boat at 4:30, that Nolan remained at the island. And in fact, there was one report that claimed that he was there as late as 6 o'clock, still on the island. This new video shows the boat that Nolan's friends were on when they left the island. This is the boat that Nolan arrived at Horn Island on July 4th.
Same friends.
Same friends. Seven people, which is what we heard them describe on the call to the tow company. And they're all on the boat there. This is as they are trying to get it started.
And there's no Nolan in sight.
Right. And the 7 people you can see on there, Nolan is not one of them.
And I think it's important to say, and you said it, but I want to reinforce it. That's at the beginning of the trip. So it's not as if...
this is at the end of the day. This is 4:30 in the afternoon.
I'm sorry, at the beginning of the trip home. So that it's not like the boat's in the middle of the water and that something may have happened in between. This is as they're leaving.
Yes, they knew that they had a problem as they were leaving. It's part of the reason they were rushing.
So here's a quick rundown from ABC's chief investigative reporter, Aaron Katursky.
More than 3 weeks now since the body of Nolan Wells was recovered. And for the first time, we're getting a sense of the initial impressions of investigators, a firmer timeline of events. And we're hearing the recording of a call made from a boat at the center of the case.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking.
This morning, more audio of the frantic call from the boat Nolan Wells was supposed to have taken to shore after celebrating July 4th with friends on a remote barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
And what do you want to do? Do you want to be towed back?
I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes.
The caller told the dispatcher everyone aboard was unhurt and noted he and the passengers were young.
There are 0 adults on board. Nobody here is over the age of 21.
Documents obtained by ABC News show that boat set off for Horn Island just before 10 a.m. the morning of July 4th. Wells and his friends arrived at 11:14. For the next 5 hours, the boat was stationary until it left at 4:31 p.m. without Wells, moving at no more than 4 knots. Whatever problem the teens reported was resolved about an hour later at 5:25 when vessel regains normal operation and begins accelerating at 30 to 35 knots. Friends said they did not abandon Wells. Rather, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources reported his friends saying Wells was in the company of an unknown female and that he chose to remain at the island. As searchers began scanning the island and surrounding waters, this email obtained by ABC News shows the preliminary information they were given, describing Wells as a black male, 6'1", 180 pounds, wearing shorts only. The Marine Patrol listed his alcohol intake as heavy. The state's autopsy, including the results of toxicology tests, is pending.
Now, I have called the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office repeatedly to find out why the preliminary autopsy results aren't released yet. And they aren't even answering the phone. Like, it just rings off the hook. And I've tried multiple different extensions. Now, the toxicology report typically takes much longer. It can take up to like 2 months to get that back. But the prelim report reportedly is complete. And why she hasn't released that yet, I don't know. And that's what I'm trying to find out. But they do not answer the phone. At least not when I've been calling, which is very frustrating. By the way, I wanted to clarify something. Since 2011, the Mississippi State Legislature did pass a law that in any suspicious death, that the chief medical examiner and forensic pathologist, this would be an MD, has to determine cause and manner of death. Those are two different things, by the way. Cause of death and manner of death are separate. But both of those have to be determined by the chief medical examiner, who right now is Stacey Turner, Dr. Stacey Turner. And that covers all reportable deaths requiring investigations, including homicides, suicides, accidents, child deaths, in custody deaths, workplace deaths, and unexplained deaths. And so Nolan Wells' death would fall right now under unexplained deaths, and it's requiring an investigation. So just to be clear there, that's not going to be the local yokel coroner with a high school GED. Okay, so just want to clarify that part of the story. Now, I've also checked in with the district attorney's office, in the Jackson County DA's office. They are going to present all of the information that they get from the Jackson County Sheriff's investigators to a grand jury. They're not responding right now. They're taking reporters' names and phone numbers down. And they're going to present this information to a grand jury. But this is typical. They don't have any comment right now. And I have yet to hear back from the Jackson County Sheriff Ledbetter, because I mean, he's not calling me back. Typically, it looks like he's giving interviews to local reporters, which is pretty common because there's a relationship there. Wells' family is not waiting on law enforcement to finish its investigation. Christine Wonsley has filed a petition to open Nolan's estate, seeking claims for damages resulting from the circumstances surrounding his death. So then she could file a lawsuit for damages on behalf of her son if others are found responsible for Nolan's death. Okay. And on that note, let's just say hypothetically, because we do not know the facts. I'm a reporter. I can't go off speculation, but let's just say that Nolan's friends did not intend to cause him harm, but that he suffered while in their company. Like, let's just say he got alcohol poisoning because reports are that they were all, quote, heavily drinking, according to that document that ABC News got. Like he got alcohol poisoning or something happened. This is why toxicology reports are going to be so critical in this investigation. And again, those are not out yet through the state medical examiner's office. And let's just say that happened and his friends failed to render rescue or aid. Legally, there's very little that they could be liable for, you guys. But if they disposed of his body or did something post-mortem, like hiding Nolan's body, covering up evidence or mutilating it, then yes, there could be criminal liability. From what I have learned and according to legal experts I've spoken with and, trying to look up different statutes under Mississippi law, it varies state to state, but there could be criminal liability there. And or if the adults who owned that boat that the kids were on, because they were reportedly all under the age of 21, if the adults knew that there was going to be drinking on the boat and they had that knowledge before they went out on the boat that day, there could be criminal liability and or civil liability on the parents and or adults who own that boat. So those are some legal possibilities. But again, we do not know because we do not know the facts in this case. That's why we have to wait and see what the investigation bears out. But even if that's not what the evidence reveals, even if we find out that the friends did not do anything wrong. And I know that millions of people feel very differently. And that's why we have to stay on and find out what this investigation reveals. And there's a lot of pressure now on the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and the DA's office and on the medical examiner. But what about being your brother's keeper? What about looking out for your brother, as Reverend Al mentioned at Nolan's memorial service?
With the first siblings, am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? Or will we, out of some emotions, some anger, some jealousy, some envy, maybe some bigotry, decide rather than deal with building up the beauty that God put in us, that we will harm our brother and that we will harm our sister and through some malice try to hide it? But the Bible says that the victim's blood cried from the ground.
And finally, Ben Crump, who is the attorney who is representing Nolan's family, paints a picture of what the Black community is dealing with right now.
3 young Black men have been killed in very similar fashion or unalived as Nolan Wells in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, 18 years old, was on a boat with 3 other young white men, ended up dead, very suspicious. And then you have Tyler Smith in Lexington, Kentucky, was at a house party. He was the only African American. He somehow got shot in the head. And then the young people who were there, they threw the gun away and then called the police and said that he accidentally shot himself. They were playing a game of Russian roulette. And so far, the police has accepted that narrative. It makes you want to holler. I mean, because you can only imagine if the roles were reversed. So we got 18-year-old Nolan Wells, we got 18-year-old Tyler Smith, and we got 18-year-old Daniel Irvin in a 3-month time frame, all killed while doing some activity with young white men, and yet nobody's been held accountable.
And there are so many more cases that we are not aware of. I have cases that I need to follow up on. Horrifying circumstances of local sheriff's offices and police departments that I need to follow up on about what happened to other young Black people. And so many of these cases are just never investigated. The cops just shut the book. And that is what is so heartbreaking for members in the Black community. They don't even get the chance to have an investigation. Ben Crump shouldn't be this busy. I say that with all due respect. He shouldn't have this many cases to fight for so many heartbroken Black families who are seeking answers. That's all Christine Wonsley and her husband say they want. They just want answers. What happened to their son? The same with those other teens. By the way, people are hate reviewing Christine Wonsley's professional profile in Mississippi over this. She is a family practitioner. I believe she's a nurse practitioner or PA. So if that gives you any clues about the climate in America and in Mississippi right now, imagine being such a shitty person that you go and write a bad review on this grieving mother's profile. Like, I don't have like the words I want to say. Like, I just like what a dark spirited person you must be. And then I recently rewatched Mississippi Burning. It has been on my heart since I started researching and looking into this story and about Mississippi's terrible racial history. I highly recommend it. If you've never seen this movie, it is spectacular. It is so incredibly well acted. I mean, it's heartbreaking. But as I was watching it, it made me realize that we're right back there again. We're right back in the early 60s, before we had civil rights enacted, before women had many rights that I grew up with that have now been torn away thanks to Republicans and the Trump regime. And, you know, another realization that I had is that we don't have a trustworthy FBI anymore to investigate hate crimes. We don't. I mean, not under the Trump regime. You can't trust them. And that's the big difference when you watch this movie. There are some of these FBI agents who are going to investigate, you know, just horrific hate crimes in the South. You know, we're back there to that time with Dr. King, with Malcolm X, Robert Kennedy, JFK Jr., the 4 little girls who were killed in a bombing in a Birmingham Baptist church. They were bombed by the KKK. John Lewis, like, just the boldness that racists are feeling now under Republicans and the Trump regime. It's not that racism ever left. They just now feel emboldened. And I don't know, it's just, we've lost so much under Republicans and what's going on now. So if you are interested in advocating for Black voting rights, for women's rights, for those who have been oppressed, then please follow my socials, which will be in the description below. I'm working with some other creators in the South to advocate for Black voting rights, restoration, and taking power back in the South, because there's a saying, as the South goes, so goes the rest of the nation. And if you're feeling down and depressed about stories like Nolan Wells and Daniel Irving and so many others, this is a way to do something and feel good about it. So please join me on my socials, and I hope to see you there. And let's do something to take our power back and to fight for the South. Okay. I will see you back here soon as we navigate this really awful time in American history. Okay. All right. Peace.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.